I've always said if it isn't dealt with correctly, it can be, it can be damaging. It can be a killer almost if it isn't harnessed correctly.
It can lead to other mental health issues.
And the longer that continues into your adult life, it causes chaos. When I go in to do talks in schools, I give the children and teachers and things a metaphor, which is, I want you to imagine a tornado. What does a tornado do? And I ask them, and they tell me, tornadoes causes damage, it causes chaos. Well, that's what ADHD is. It's a whirlwind, and you get lost inside the middle of it. And everywhere you go, it's causing damage and chaos. And unless you can get that under control, it's going to follow you everywhere you go. And it has for me. And I'm not going to lie, I try and see the positives in it, but I want to talk about some of the negatives as well that people don't always see. And it's damaged me and it's damaged my life. And, I have to live with that.
I don't know how well you did at school, but you're incredibly articulate.
Thanks.
No, I want you to hear that. You are.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Incredibly articulate about what you want to achieve and your own personal journey. And I would suggest that school clearly didn't bring out the best in you, because here you sit in front of me. I'm astounded how articulate you are. It's amazing.
Thanks very much.
And that's a very deliberate positive stroke halfway through this interview, because you've gone into some very emotional places there for a second, and you don't need to doubt yourself.
If school, not blaming school, could sit here blaming people, why didn't this happen for me?
But you're allowed to reflect.
Yeah, I'm allowed to reflect, yeah. So if things had been different through my adolescence, and maybe got diagnosed and trialed some different medication, or maybe looked at different techniques, coping mechanisms, etc., then my life might have panned out differently. But I'm not going to dwell on that. Like you say, it's finding that resilience, that sort of drive inside, that determination to want to be a bigger and better person.
I love that. There's a lot that resonates for me, actually.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
You identified it. It's the inner.
I think me and you are very similar.
I agree.
People need to self-reflect more.
Yeah.
And I've never used ADHD as an excuse,
Can tell.
A lot of people do use it as an excuse. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but me personally, being told that I was bad, I was naughty, I wasn't good enough for many, many years at school, through the education system. I think the education system needs to sit up and understand that ADHD is a neurobiological condition. It's not bad parenting, bad poor diet, it's not a choice, and not everybody learns the same. And I think if we, like you say, just tailored that authenticity and tried to just accept people for what they are rather than what they could be, then
one size does not fit all.
It would open a lot more doors for people rather than lock them and throw away the key, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? In previous years as a youngster, having relationships and things, my ADHD has caused a lot of problems in that. I remember going to one particular partner's house to meet their parents years ago, and they'd cooked a dinner and things. It was very formal, sat at the table, and I was, wasn't as controlled, or I didn't have the coping mechanisms that I have now. Got sat at the table and my knees jerking under the table. It's rocking everywhere. There's water getting spilt. It's like there's an earthquake. And I remember her mother turning to her, and I remember hearing it saying, "This guy, all right? Is he on drugs? Does he take drugs? Because he can't sit still. He talks lots." And I've had that my entire life, being judged as someone who takes recreational drugs or amphetamines for my energy and the way I think and feel and stuff. I've never touched a drug in my life. Medicine doesn't work for me. It's never worked for me. The more natural remedies, coping mechanisms and things, talking therapy, has been my saviour, I think.
How do you cope with that rejection, and what was your cope? Apart from having a hot bubbly bath, what was your cope? How did you pull yourself through that then?
It's always been it's like a pendulum almost. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a weight that I'm probably never going to lift, and it affects everything that I do. It's not just my talks. It's not just my work. It affects my relationships, my friendship, everything that I do. I'm my own worst enemy. And I feel like a lot of ADHDers feel that way. We're our own worst enemy. We sit and critique everything that we do. It's never good enough. Even when we're doing something really well, we always go away feeling we could have done better.
A lot of people that I've professionally dealt with over the whole of my career as a policeman for 27 years, that vulnerability got them into proper trouble.
Yeah, serious trouble. One of the things that these so-called friends and people that I was associating myself with weren't doing the right thing, shall we say. And it got to a point where I didn't really want to be a part of it. So I made my voice heard, and that confidence and impulsivity came out, and the people that were surrounding themselves around me didn't like it, and it ended quite violently and things. And that was a bit of a turning point. Another turning point was when I got permanently excluded and expelled from school. And I don't often publicly talk about this, and I'm not proud of it, but I hit a teacher, and I'm not a violent person whatsoever. But as you know, ADHD people, some of them have a very short fuse, and when they're pushed and backed into corners, the impulsivity, you act on impulse, and that's what I did. I acted on impulse, and I was defending somebody who was getting bullied, as you mentioned earlier on in the talk, and I thought I was doing the right thing, standing up for them, and these people turned on me, and I got into a fight, and the fight resulted in a teacher trying to break it up, and I threw the punch at the wrong time and paid the consequences, shall we say, which got me kicked out of school permanently.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.